Magic Treehouse, Midnight on the Moon, Chapters 6, 7, and 8. Chapter 6, High Jump. Who is that? Said Jack. I don't know, said Annie, but we'll soon find out. She started waving. No, said Jack. He grabbed her arm. Let's go back to the base before he gets here. Why? Said Annie. We don't know who he is, said Jack. We don't know if he's friendly or mean or what. But we can't go back, said Annie. We haven't found the fourth M thing yet. We won't be able to go home. It doesn't matter. We can lock the door at the moon base until he goes away, Jack said. Then we can get our new air tanks. Jack hurried to the moon buggy. Come on. He jumped into the driver's seat. Annie gave a little wave to the dot in the sky. Then she climbed into the moon buggy. The buggy took off. Careful, said Annie. They bumped over the rocks as Jack turned the buggy around. Then they zoomed towards the pass. Jack steered around the craters and rocks. More than once the buggy nearly tipped over. Whoa, slow down, said Annie. They were almost at the mountain pass. Suddenly, a cloud of dust flew up in front of them. The ground trembled. Watch it, cried Annie. Jack couldn't see a thing. He stepped on the brake. The buggy jerked to a stop. The dust settled. A giant rock had fallen into the narrow pass. It was stuck between two walls of rocks. They were trapped. Jack quickly found a picture of a giant rock in the moon book. He read aloud. Rocks of all sizes crash into the moon from outer space. These rocks are called meteorites. We're lucky that the meteorite didn't land on us, said Jack. Yeah, and I guess it's too big to be the M thing, said Annie. She climbed out. What is a meteorite? A meteoroid is a large rock in outer space, also known as a shooting star. Once it lands on a surface, it is called a meteorite. Of the moon buggy and was standing by the meteorite. It was more than twice as tall as she was. Jack looked at the black sky. The flying thing was nowhere in sight. Yeah. We'll have to jump over it, Annie said. Jump? I don't think so, said Jack. It's too high. I'm going to try anyway, said Annie. Wait, let's think first, said Jack. But Annie was already backing up. 1, 2, 3, go! She shouted and took a giant leaping steps towards the meteorite. When Annie got closer to the rock, she pushed off the ground. Then she flew through space and disappeared behind the meteorite. Annie! Jack called. There was no answer. Oh, brother, Jack said. He backed up and took off toward the rock. He jumped as high as he could, then he was flying through space. Jack hit the ground and fell face down into the dust. Jack tried to stand, but his suit was too bulky. He tried to roll over, but his suit made it even that impossible. Oh no, he groaned. Not again. Are you here? Asked Annie. Did you make it? Yes! Jack was relieved to hear her voice, but he couldn't turn his head to see her. He could only hear her over the radio. Can you help me up? He asked. Nope, said Annie. Why not? I fell down too, she said. Oh, brother, Jack sighed. Now we're really in trouble. He tried to stand again, and failed. Can you see anything? He asked. Just the sky, said Annie. Wow, is it weird? I'm worried about our air tanks, said Jack. I feel like it's been 2 hours. Jack, said Annie. And what about the moon man, said Jack. Where did he go to? Jack, whispered Annie. What? He's here, she said. The moon man is here. What? He's standing above me. Chapter 7. The Moon Man. Jack's heart nearly stopped. He could hear Annie talking. Hi, she said. We come in peace. There was silence. Then Jack heard Annie say, Thank you. I have to help my brother up now. A moment later, Annie rolled Jack onto his back. She grabbed his hand and pulled him off. "Thanks," said Jack, once he was standing. The Moon Man was a few feet away. His face was hidden by a metal visor. He looked like a spaceman, a huge spaceman, with a giant tank on his back. It was as big as a refrigerator. "That's a jetpack," said Jack. "I've seen pictures of future astronauts flying with those things. It's like a mini spaceship, right?" The Moon Man didn't answer. "I don't think he can hear us," said Annie. "He's not hooked up to our radio." "Oh, right," said Jack. "I'll write him a message." "Good idea," said Annie. Jack pulled out his notebook and pencil. He wrote, "We're Jack and Annie. We come in peace from America. Who are you?" Jack handed the notebook and his pencil to the Moon Man. They looked tiny in his big hands. The Moon Man looked down at the message. He looked at the tiny pencil. Then he turned the notebook over. Jack and Annie watched as the Moon Man put the pencil to the paper. He was writing something very carefully. Finally, he gave the notebook back to Jack. Jack and Annie stared at the marks. "Stars," said Annie. "He drew stars." "Maybe it's a space map," said Jack. What is a constellation? A constellation is a visible group of stars that forms a pattern creating different shapes. "Space map," said Annie. "Hey, Jack, map starts with M." "Oh, wow," said Jack. "That must be the fourth M thing." "Let's ask him what the map means," said Annie. She turned around. "We'll never know now," she said. "Why?" Jack looked up from his map. "That's why." Annie pointed. The Moon Man was flying over the mountains. "Thanks," cried Annie. Chapter 8. One Star to Another. "Who was that guy?" said Jack. "What does his map mean?" "I don't know," said Annie, "but let's see if it works." Jack took a deep breath. "Yeah, we'd better hurry back. I think I'm running out of air. It feels harder to breathe." "For me too," said Annie. "Go slow. Don't breathe too much," said Jack. He and Annie took long floating steps toward the moon base. Jack held his breath as if he were underwater. By the time they got to the white dome, he was ready to burst. Annie pushed a button beside the huge door. It slid open. They hurried into the airlock. The door closed behind them, and the door to the hallway opened. Jack opened the visor of his helmet. He took a long, deep breath and let it out. "Let's get out of these suits," said Annie. "Good idea." Jack was dying to free his arms and legs. As they moved clumsily into the spacesuit storeroom, Jack felt heavy again. He and Annie unlocked each other's helmets, gloves, boots, and pulled everything off. Then they stepped out of their bulky suits. "Phew," Jack said. He took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. It was great to be free, even if he no longer felt as light as a feather. "Hurry, Peanut's waiting," said Annie. She led the way down the steps to the bright landing chamber. "Yay," she said softly. Jack was relieved to see the treehouse still there. Soon they'd be heading home. He couldn't wait. Jack and Annie crawled through the treehouse window. "We're back, Peanut," said Annie. "Squeak!" Peanut ran to the letter M. "We missed you," said Annie. She patted the mouse's head. "We met a moon man." "Sorry, Peanut, but you have to move," said Jack. "We have to put the map on the M." Annie gently lifted the mouse off the M. Jack tore the star map out of his notebook. He placed it on the M, next to the mammoth bone, the mango, and the moonstone. He sighed, then sat back on his heels. "Hand me the Pennsylvania book," he said. They needed the Pennsylvania book to get back home. There was silence. Jack turned and looked at Annie. "It's not working, Jack," she said. "The book's not here." "What?" The map was the wrong thing? They looked around the treehouse. "It's definitely not here," said Annie. "Oh no." Jack's heart sank. He picked up the star map and stared at it. Squeak, squeak. Peanut jumped out of Annie's arms and scurried back to the letter M. I've got an idea, said Jack. He reached into his pack and took out his pencil. What are you doing? Said Annie. You know how you draw a constellation? Said Jack. You connect all the stars. What happens if we try that? He drew a line from one star to another. He kept drawing until all the stars were connected. Let me see, said Annie. Jack held the paper out so they could both study it. It looked like a mouse, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. Is there such thing as a mouse constellation? Said Annie. I don't think so, said Jack. Squeak! Annie and Jack looked at Peanut. She was standing on the M. Oh, wow, Jack, Annie whispered. I think I know what the fourth M thing is. Jack grinned. Me too, he said. It's a mouse, they said together. Squeak, squeak. Maybe the spell is moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse, said Annie. Jack touched the M thing in turn as he whispered, Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Let's say it over and over and see what happens, said Annie. Together they chanted, Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Moonstone, mango, mammoth bone, mouse. Suddenly, a bright light filled the treehouse. The light got brighter and brighter and brighter. The brightness was blinding and whirling. The air spun with brightness. Then everything was clear. Peanut the mouse was gone, and Morgan Le Fay stood before Jack and Annie.